Let's talk about YouTube style and how you can find yours. Because in a world where everyone copies everyone, to blend in is to be ignored. But what exactly makes up a unique YouTube style? Is it the colors you use, the music you choose, and how can you avoid just copying what works for others? To find out, I spent weeks studying some of the most recognizable creators on YouTube, and I realized that fundamentally, any distinct YouTube style can be broken down into just 3 core elements. So if you want to design a unique YouTube identity of your own, you've come to the right place. Because in this video, we'll cover the exact formula you need to develop a style that people will recognize, remember, and come back for. We'll start at the end. Because in order to properly leverage the 3 core style elements, you have to first establish what the result should be. You wouldn't start decorating your apartment without first having a mood board, right? Because your YouTube style isn't just a random collection of choices, it's intentional. Every decision, from the way you edit to the way you deliver your lines, should be working towards a specific viewer experience you want your audience to have. That's why the first step in developing your style is identifying your YouTube archetype. Every great creator has one. Ali Abdaal is a productive friend who helps you optimize your life. Cleo Abram is the optimistic tech journalist who makes the future feel exciting. And Mr. Beast is the high-stakes showman who turns the craziest of ideas into reality. Your archetype is the foundation of your style. It shapes the way people experience your videos. And you can find yours by defining your vibe, or the overall feeling you want your content to have, role, or the character you play for your audience, and value, or the takeaway your viewers get from watching your videos. To figure out your own archetype, start by listing a few words for each building block. Consider how you want people to describe your content, what role you naturally take on, and what viewers gain from watching your videos. And to help you organize your thoughts, I made a style workbook you can work through as a companion guide to this video, which is linked in the video description. It's completely free, and it includes all of the style-related exercises and prompts I'll walk through today. Don't say I never did anything for you. After you have the vibe, role, and value lists, pick a word or phrase from each column to assemble your YouTube archetype. And as a hot tip, if you're having trouble picking the exact right words, ChatGPT can be a big help. Just give it your lists and ask it to generate some possible archetypes that fit. But, and I cannot stress this enough, don't worry about getting it absolutely perfect, especially at first. Your archetype is something that will evolve over time as you create more videos and settle into who you are as a creator and what value you want to provide to your audience. Right now, all we're looking for is a good enough direction, a compass to guide your style decisions moving forward. The goal isn't perfection, it's clarity. And once you have that clarity, you're ready to start assembling your YouTube style formula. Which brings us back to the 3 core elements of style, the first of which is visual style. Visual style is often the first thing that comes to mind when we think of style, and it determines what your video will look like. Because as soon as we click on a new YouTube video, our brains start making assumptions, even before a single word is said. The color grading, fonts, even the way your text pops up on screen. They're all subtle signals telling your audience what kind of creator you are and what kind of experience they'll get from your videos. These are also why I can show you these 3 frames, and anyone familiar with the productivity space could easily identify them as belonging to an Ali Abdaal video. Your visual style is what shapes your viewer's first impression of you. And when it comes to forming this visual identity, you have 5 main ingredients at your disposal: color palette, set design, wardrobe, typography, and visual effects. These are, if you will, the 5 Avengers of visual style. Which is a little corny, I know, but hear me out. Your color palette is the Captain America, the one setting the tone and holding everyone else together. Because colors aren't just about aesthetics, they're psychological triggers, shaping the way your audience perceives you. Now, color theory is an entire realm of psychology that can get infinitely deep, but I'll put up some common color associations up on screen to give you a small taste. Just think about the creators you watch. Ali Abdaal's signature turquoise blue and salmon orange give off a mix of trustworthiness and creativity, with the warmth of the hues evoking a sense of playfulness and approachability. The result is a first impression that gives productive friend. And take Cleo Abram. When starting her future-oriented YouTube show, she could have gone with a classic tech journalism palette of all blacks and grays with one neon color. But those colors give a rather bleak vision for the future.
What that implies is that we're living in like a really awesome spaceship, but like the world has ended and we now live in a spaceship. And like it's like grays, it's like metallic colors. Yeah. It's very masculine. It's very like, it gives you a sort of vibe of what the future is.
So instead, Cleo opted for a solar punk aesthetic, with dark browns, greens, and blues that give a more earthy and optimistic vision for the future, creating a color palette that visually aligns with her archetype. When assembling a color palette of your own, aim for 6 colors. 1 dominant color, 1 primary accent color, 3 secondary accent colors, and 1 standard text color. You can have more or fewer brand colors, but these 6 will give you a solid foundation. And once they're set, these colors will become the thread tying everything else together. Your thumbnails, graphics, typography, even set design. So it's worth getting at least somewhat of a picture before moving on to the rest of your visual style. And speaking of set design, the environment that you film in isn't just a background. It's a storytelling tool. Set design is the Iron Man of the visual style Avengers, something you construct to reflect your identity. Mr. Beast's sets are massive, immersive, high-stakes environments, reinforcing the scale and spectacle of his videos. Legal Eagle's neat bookshelves and polished setup give off the academic, professional feel of a lawyer breaking cases down with authority. A personal favorite of mine is from Nerdforge, who crafted a studio that makes you feel like you're peeking into a wizard's study, fully immersing you in their artistic medieval fantasy aesthetic. But you don't need a custom built-out set or expensive studio in order to have a strong set design. You just need to understand your YouTube archetype. And depending on your archetype, your set doesn't even have to be a room that you design. It could be a specific external environment that fits your content. To determine the best set design for you, start off by taking screenshots of YouTube videos where you love the visual feel of the space. Hop on Instagram or Pinterest and pin spaces that match the tone of your archetype. Once you have a sense of the general look and feel you like, you can start incorporating small intentional elements into your filming space that help it feel like an extension of you. Wardrobe is like the Hawkeye of the visual style Avengers. You can use it for a few well-aimed shots, but its main purpose is to just exist and not get too in the way of the others. Consider how your archetype would dress. A trusted doctor might wear scrubs. A quirky bestie could rock pajamas or some thrifted finds. A protective friend might stick to simple t-shirts or hoodies. Over time, consistent wardrobe choices can make you more recognizable. If someone tried to sketch you from memory, would they have something to go off of? A signature outfit, hairstyle, or accessory can make your visual identity feel more memorable. That said, unless your clothing is meant to accentuate a specific part of your identity, like a profession or your sense of fashion, it's usually best to keep it relatively neutral so it doesn't pull too much focus away from your content itself. Your typography is the Black Widow of the visual style Avengers, a subtle presence that makes an impact when used effectively. Because while font choice might seem like a small detail, it sends subconscious signals about your archetype. And once again, typography is something that you could rabbit hole into as deeply as you want. But to keep things simple, here is a generalized overview of some common font styles and the archetypes they tend to match best. When selecting your typography, consider 2 main details. First, what font are you using? It's generally advised to have 2 to 3 main fonts you use, which you can use for your header text, text body, and accent text. And second, what case is the best fit for you? Sentence case can be the easiest to read, all caps lock is great for emphasis, and all lowercase can feel more informal, aesthetic, or intimate. And keep in mind that not everyone will use text in the same way. If you're an educational channel, you'll probably employ a lot more text to make points or add value. If you're an entertainment channel, you may use text primarily to accent certain words or phrases. Consider what use cases for text are the most common for your videos and decide on the font and case that are the best fit for each scenario. And finally, your visual effects are the Thor of the visual style Avengers, with the ability to add power and energy to your content. Now, not every creator will use visual effects in their videos, and that's completely fine. Some YouTubers prefer a more simple edit, relying on their camera work alone to do all the heavy lifting. But visual effects like overlays, animations, graphics, and more can often add value or spice to a video. And if you do decide to use them, it's important to consider how they can contribute to your desired visual identity. Take an effect like a map visualization, for instance. A serious journalist would use something high production, polished, and professional, while a goofy adventurer might prefer an intentionally amateur, playful visualization. Same concept, totally different execution. Consider what production level best fits your archetype. Is it polished and high production, gentle and hand-drawn, chaotic and exaggerated, or clean and minimal? Once you have a sense of what best fits your archetype, start building out your signature effect pack. What are your go-to transitions? What kind of overlays and text effects do you use? How do you bring elements on and off screen? Use the same effects consistently, and over time, every transition or graphic will help reinforce your brand. And with that, we've officially assembled all 5 visual style elements. And with your visual identity in place, it's time to move beyond what your videos will look like and into how they feel. Which brings us to the second core style element, rhythmic style. Your rhythmic style is what determines the flow and energy of your videos. Are they intense or cozy, laid back or cartoonish? And when it comes to shaping this feeling, there are 2 key factors that determine your video's rhythm: mood and momentum. Mood is primarily shaped by sound, and when we talk about sound in YouTube videos, we're usually talking about music and sound effects. Which makes sense, given that music is the single biggest influence on the feeling of a video. Take a simple montage of building a craft. Back it with one track and it feels like a cozy crafting night with friends. But swap it out for a dramatic main title track, and suddenly it feels like one of the most epic craft feats ever accomplished. Same visuals, completely different mood. That's the power of music. So before you pick a track, think about the feeling you want your audience to have when watching your video. Want to evoke nostalgia? Try using 70s, 80s, or 90s inspired tracks. Looking for some playful familiarity? Use music from popular video games. Need something that fits a unique aesthetic? Try mixing unexpected genres together. Nerdforge, for instance, blends epic fantasy scores with futuristic beats, reinforcing her steampunk meets fantasy vibe. Some creators even go so far as to have a signature song that repeats across all of their videos. Pick any Mark Rober video and you'll likely hear this track as he starts introducing a new concept. Finding the right music for your rhythmic style takes some trial and error, but the best way to develop your ear is by paying attention to the music choices of videos that you already watch. Rewatch a few videos from your favorite creators, this time paying attention only to the music. What kinds of tracks do they use? How does the music make you feel? Does it change throughout the video to match different moments? And when thinking through your own sound, it can help to start with mainstream music that you already know and listen to. What artists, albums, or songs make you feel cozy, intense, laid back, adventurous? Use those as a reference when searching for copyright-free alternatives to your videos. But copyright-free music isn't your only option for videos, because sometimes a moment needs a specific song to create the perfect emotional impact. Which is why many of the top YouTubers use a service called Licked, which is a platform that lets you license copyrighted music without losing AdSense revenue due to copyright claims. I first heard about Licked last year when I was talking about music with some YouTube friends, and it absolutely blew my mind because prior to that conversation, I thought that using mainstream music while still monetizing your videos was impossible. So when Licked reached out to sponsor this video, it felt like a natural fit. Licked has a catalog of music that's 10 times the size of all other music licensing platforms combined. But what's particularly valuable is that it allows you to license mainstream music without sacrificing your monetization. I'm talking Sabrina Carpenter, Bruno Mars, Phil Collins, you name it. Take this video from Preston Goes, which concludes his iconic 3-part mini truck railroad series. To perfectly capture the emotion, struggle, and triumph involved in finally concluding his journey, Preston used the song Yellow by Coldplay.
Look at the stars, look how they shine for you, and everything you do, yeah, they were all yellow.
And thanks to Licked, he was able to use that mainstream track and still monetize his videos through AdSense. So as you explore what your signature soundtrack might look like, don't feel limited by copyright-free music. But Licked does have you covered on the stock music side as well. And because I want you to be able to try this out for yourself, I was able to get you a free 7-day trial to Licked, which includes unlimited stock music and a free mainstream track that you can use in one of your own videos. They've never included a mainstream track in a trial before, and this is a limited time offer, so I would definitely recommend taking advantage of it by signing up through the link in the video description. And if you're watching this in the future after the offer is ended, I'm sorry, but I hope the future is looking good apart from that. But regardless of where you get your music from, one thing is for certain. The music you choose will shape your viewer's experience in a way that nothing else can. And this experience can be enhanced even further with your choice of sound effects. Think of sound effects as these sprinkles on top of your video's audio, small details that add energy, personality, or immersion. And just like music, the way you use sound effects can contribute to shaping your YouTube archetype. For example, exaggerated booms, slide whistles, bonks, and record scratches create a cartoonish, high-energy feel. This style pairs well with fast-paced, over-the-top editing, often seen in channels that lean into humor, challenges, or chaotic storytelling. I'll list a few other common sound effect profiles on your screen for your reference. How do you know which sound identity is the right fit for you? Start by thinking about the viewer experience you want to create. Are you going for something high energy and bold, polished and professional? What about relaxed and atmospheric? For inspiration, study creators who fit within your own archetype and pay attention to how they use sound effects in their videos. And since sound effects can get overwhelming fast, here's a simple way to integrate them without overloading your videos. After making a list of potential sound effects to include, try adding just one new sound effect type per video. You don't have to layer all of them in all at once. Experimenting with one at a time can help you understand how they fit into your content and how they can contribute to the viewer experience you want to create. Through sound, you've shaped the mood of your videos, but it's the pacing that determines the momentum. And while there are infinite ways to pace a video, most styles fall into one of 3 core pacing categories. At the top, we have the high energy, fast pace. This is best for archetypes that are entertaining, chaotic, or comedic. It's often achieved with faster cuts that keep the momentum high, frequent framing changes like zoom-ins and dynamic transitions, and the removal of unnecessary pauses, breaths, or silences to keep everything moving quickly. The result is a video that feels exciting, intense, and unpredictable. One level down, we have the conversational medium pace, which tends to be a go-to choice for archetypes that are relatable, thoughtful, or educational. It's created through a mix of medium length and shortcuts to maintain engagement without feeling overwhelming, subtle zooms and transitions to keep things visually engaging without being chaotic, and more pauses for emphasis, giving ideas more room to breathe. The resulting video feels smooth, engaging, and naturally conversational. And finally, we have the immersive slow pace, which is a great fit for archetypes that are introspective, atmospheric, or more low-key. It's achieved with fewer cuts, allowing moments to feel more natural and unforced, and longer uninterrupted shots that let the viewer settle into the experience. This pacing creates videos that feel calm, immersive, and straightforward, inviting viewers to sit with the content rather than rushing through it. And if you're not sure which pacing category is the right fit for you, experiment. Try cutting the same video section at different speeds. One fast, one slow, one in between. See how each version changes the feel of your video and use that to refine your pacing style. With your music, sound effects, and pacing locked in, you now have a fully developed rhythmic style, which means that your video now has a distinctive look and flow that aligns with your YouTube archetype. But there's one final style element missing, and it's the most important one of all, because this is the style element that makes your content feel authentically you. While visual and a rhythmic style determine how your video is presented, your delivery style shapes how you present yourself. Because 2 creators can cover the exact same topic, but the way they deliver it can completely change the viewing experience. Take these videos from Mr. Who's the Boss and MKBHD, both tech YouTubers, both reviewing the same phone. MKBHD's delivery is calm, measured, and polished, reinforcing his brand as a high-tech authority. Mr. Who's the Boss, on the other hand, is more expressive and dynamic, making his reviews feel punchier and more energetic. Same subject, completely different feel. That's the power of delivery style. And to shape yours, you need to consider 3 things: how you speak, how you show up on camera, and how you inject your personality. The way you speak affects the way your audience experiences your content. Some creators are meticulous and precise, delivering their points with a carefully structured script that ensures every word is intentional. Others are more off the cuff, leaning into natural conversation, tangents, and improvisation to create a more spontaneous feel. Neither approach is inherently better, but they each result in a different viewing experience. And if you're not sure which one is the best fit for you, you may have guessed it, experiment. Try recording a short sample video 3 different ways. 1 fully scripted word for word, 1 loosely structured using bullet points as a guide, and 1 completely unscripted, talking freely. Watch them back. Which one feels most like you? And regardless of how much or how little you script, your word choice also affects the way your message is received. If you want to appeal to viewers who value depth and expertise, you might use precise analytical language and expert terminology. If you want your videos to feel like a chat with a friend, you could use everyday language, casual phrasing, slang, or even swearing. And if your emphasis is more on story or narration, you might opt for more expressive, high-impact words to fully paint the picture you're trying to create. Your archetype should guide your vocabulary, and just like visuals, your words can even become a part of your brand. Some creators have developed trademark phrases that viewers often associate with them, like MatPat's classic,
"That's just a theory, a game theory."
Others build out inside jokes or recurring references that loyal viewers instantly recognize, like how Drew Gooden calls his subscribers Greg.
What's up, Greg?
But at the core of it all, your goal is to make intentional choices about the way you speak. Because the more your delivery style reflects who you truly are, the more naturally engaging your videos will be. Once you've developed your vernacular, it's time to show up on camera. Because your camera setup isn't just a technical decision, it's a creative choice that can directly affect how your content feels. A tripod setup feels stable, polished, and professional. A handheld shot feels personal, raw, and dynamic. And cinematic movement using gimbals or drones create a high production, professional feel. And as with everything else, your camera style should reinforce your YouTube archetype. If Ryan Trahan used a polished, static camera setup, it would take away from his spontaneous, goofy energy. If Legal Eagle suddenly dished his professional setup for a handheld vlog mid-video, it would make his legal breakdowns feel less authoritative. That's why it's worth thinking through how your camera style affects the way you're perceived. I'll put some other common considerations up on screen now. So take a step back and think through your own camera style mix. What types of shots and filming techniques best contribute to the viewing experience you want to create? Because the way your content is framed, shot, and presented is just as much a part of your delivery style as the way you speak. Once you've locked in your camera choices, it's time to move on to the final piece of your delivery style. Because at the end of the day, the strongest, most memorable YouTube styles aren't about the colors or the fonts or the word choice. They're about the personality behind the content. Your humor, quirks, energy, and mannerisms are what make your videos feel distinctly yours. Are you high energy or more low-key? Sarcastic, optimistic, hyper, calm, or something else entirely different? And leaning into your personality doesn't mean forcing yourself to be over the top if that's not who you are. People often tend to assume that the more high energy, the better on YouTube, and that's actually not true at all. A great example is Moist Critical, who has completely mastered a deadpan delivery that somehow makes everything he says 10 times funnier.
May look like I just got out of the shower and my hair's still a bit damp, but that's only an illusion.
Injecting personality isn't about trying to be more entertaining. It's about leaning into what already makes you unique. And this doesn't mean projecting the same tone all the time. Your personality is multidimensional, and perhaps the most authentic delivery of them all is one that's fluid, showing different parts of yourself in different moments. Because at the end of the day, your vibe attracts your tribe. And the more you lean into what makes you, you, the more you'll stand out. Not by trying to be bigger or louder than everyone else, but by embracing the unique mix of personality traits that only you can bring to the table. Now, I know we covered a lot in this video, and for good reason. Developing your unique YouTube style takes a lot of work. But when you intentionally craft each of these elements, your videos stop feeling like something anyone could have made and start feeling like something that could have only come from you. And look, chances are you're not going to have it all figured out. I'd recommend going through the style workbook every year or so because things will naturally shift over time. Just take a look at your favorite YouTubers, sort their videos by oldest, and see for yourself how different their style was when they first started out. And if you're feeling lost or overwhelmed, first of all, that's completely normal, but the best way to develop your sense of taste is by watching a lot more YouTube. Embrace the art of noticing. Watch videos once for the content and once again for the style, taking note of their visuals, their rhythm, and their delivery. There's even a place in the style workbook to jot down your notes as you go along. And then in your own videos, don't be afraid to try things out. Conduct tiny experiments. See how a change feels, and use that information to determine what style elements you want to keep and what you want to toss. Because the more you create, the clearer your style will become. And before you know it, people won't just watch your videos. They'll recognize them, they'll remember them, and most importantly, they'll come back for more. We talked a ton about video style today, but title and thumbnail style is a whole different story, and one that's just as important. The best creators in the world have created thumbnail styles so distinct that viewers can recognize a video of theirs as soon as it pops up on their homepage. So to learn everything there is to know about YouTube thumbnails, click here. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. Like and subscribe if you can, keep creating, and I'll see you in the next video.